Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Hey, I'm Mr. Kraus. I'm a teacher at Downey High School, and we're looking at stealing the main character in the Cask of Amontillado, Edgar Allan Poe's famous revenge tale. And you guys might need a review. Maybe it's been several weeks since you've done something like this. So I've got my quote, and I just want to remind you guys, the more effort you put into this, the stronger it's going to be. So Montresor, only one S. We talked about that. Montresor says that is weak sauce, right? We're not going to use that. We're not going to use says. We're going to use a stronger verb, a more rhetorically accurate verb. So maybe Montresor complains. There we go. And, I'm trying to do it in blue. I said I would always try to do it in blue. And, hey, Google's not always right. You need the comma there. My Montresor complains. My friend, no. So there's the triple quote marks, right? Then you have triple quote marks here at the end. We have a special type of punctuation called a long dash. Any punctuation that is not a period goes inside those quote marks. And then, of course, you guys got to cite it. Poe 373. Again, this handout has all the page numbers in it, so make sure you're looking at the appropriate page numbers. All right. What trait? So I found this cool quote. It speaks to me. What trait could this show? Well, I gave you guys a trait list, and it looks a little like this. So here's a bunch of negative traits. There's also the other side of your paper that has a bunch of positive traits. This might be my own bias. I'm going to pursue the negative side of this. And let's see if I can find a word. And so it's just a negotiation with yourselves, right? You look at your quote, my friend, no, I will not impose upon your good nature. So I kind of anchor the quote, the evidence that is. And I see words like sneaky, shameless was another one. Is that on this list? I'm sure it is. There it is. Shameless. He's not charmless. He is definitely full of charm. There's definitely an argument for conceit. He's satisfying his own desires. Here's one. Deceit is when you deceive people. So he's full of deception here. So full of deceit. So that's a pretty good word. It's also a little bit nerdier sounding than shameless. He has no shame. He's willing to do whatever he wants. So I'm going to go with deceit here. So we definitely want to put in the trait. And then I would recommend at this point definitely looking the word up, which is really easy when you're on a computer. So I'll do that really quick. So I just hit a little quick Google definition. Guilty or involving deceit, deceiving or misleading others. That's the phrasing I would like to use. Here's some good synonyms to use in my tie-in, right? Insincere, false, dishonest, and untruthful. So I'll try to use those words in my tie-in. I'll go back to this, and I'm just going to add them to the box. These are just my notes. There's no harm, no foul in adjusting the box, so it helps you. Again, that's the definition here. All right. So when you go over here, you're trying to answer this question. What trait is revealed in the evidence you choose and explain? So I would say something like, here, Montresor's effort to sound nice to Fortunato. You guys, quick note here. Can you capitalize the name Montresor and the F in Fortunato? Seriously. So I left this typo in here on purpose, and I just wanted you guys to see, magic of editing. But, there's no the with Fortunato. There's no the with Montresor either. Those are the actual names of these characters. Remember, this is an Italian-based story. So I'm trying to say here Montresor's effort. I did not say what the trait is, so I need to edit that. So with the magic of editing, I got a good comma fanboys here. I don't know why you wouldn't just throw a quick highlight on there so I don't miss your scholarship. But here we go. My friend, no, I will not impose upon your will. So we're working on the number 2 in our tie-in. We're trying to say what the trait is and then explain what's going on here. And I'm sort of doing that all in one. Here, Montresor's effort to sound nice to Fortunato is not really how he feels. about Fortunato. So he clearly, and then you A-list students, right, you B+ students, start thinking about getting rid of this verb is from your writing. And here I go. I was able to use a word from the definition of deceitful, right? So he clearly misleads his victim. All right. And then I have not used the word because or its relative synonyms. So I definitely want to add a little bit more to this to explain again how the quote reveals this characteristic. Some tricks or strategies from the past. Let me list them out for you real quickly. They are as follows. So here's your options. I'm going to talk about this best option or hardest option or strongest option last. A really strong idea is to pull a word or phrase from the quote, right? And then explain how that demonstrates the trait. And then one of the easiest methods, and I would not hurt your score if you do it well, is to talk about the opposite. So what do I mean by the opposite? For example, here in this trait, I'm just going to highlight if, I'm going to call him M here. If M is, what would be the opposite of deceitful? How about clear and honest? He would not lie about his concerns for, I call him F, but Fortunato's good intentions. That's that good nature. And worry, well, I wouldn't say worry, and pretend to worry, right? That's the, I perceive you have an engagement comment, to worry that he has other plans, right? And so what did I do here? I started with an if, and then I used the opposite as best I could, and then I started talking about that's exactly what he doesn't do. And then your clincher sounds really nice after this, but this is why I wanted to talk about the strongest last. When you guys are writing the CQT for this, there's going to be a point in the CQT. Okay, so we're talking about the tie-in, and there's a slightly, all right, here it is. You have to connect the trait itself, not necessarily the character. The trait itself, when you do this best, making a real-world connection, right? You're going to connect the trait itself to revenge. And so a sentence at the end of your tie-in could be this strong. You guys, I'm an old English teacher. I've been doing this a while. And this is the common thread in that future essay you're going to be writing. When a person is deceitful, he or she will find pursuing revenge easier. Obviously, lying to people to take advantage of them would be helpful in one's quest or pursuit of revenge. And so I connected deceit to revenge a couple of times here, and that is that number one thing. So when you're at this first step, right, you either want to pull a word or phrase from the quote or talk about the opposite, okay? So here we go. I'm going to pull this opposite right in. Technique, and now I've got the opposite technique, so that's cool. And then the last technique, and I really recommend you doing this, it's going to need to be present in your essay anyway, is this last step right here where you connect the trait itself to revenge. I'm putting them on separate lines. It's just going to make it easier for me to show you guys. If you did this in your writing today and in subsequent days of classwork or homework, that wouldn't be wrong. It would make it easier for me. Okay, so let's review. We had a quote. I obviously continue to recommend sort of the Sherlock Holmes method. Well, there you have it. Sherlock Holmes and the words, the immortal words himself. It is a capital mistake to theorize before you have the evidence. It biases, it colors your judgment. It is a capital mistake to theorize in advance of the fact. So I have said it now a few times, so let's get back to it. Find your quote first. Go ahead and set yourself up for success. Have that signal phrase. Then you look for the trait. So we came up with the trait list, right? We looked at it. And then why not look up a definition and try to use those words, which I did. And then you have this strong tie-in. I still need to add a because statement, so I'm going to do that real quick. But before I do, we have to mention how the trait is revealed, right? There it is, misleads. And here's your because statement. A little bit of typing. And you can see I now have my because sentence. Montresor could care less about his victim's quote-unquote good nature simply because he hates Fortunato. Then we took that opposite technique. This is always a good idea. It's a good strategy. We talked about that. Lastly, and I highly recommend this, it's going to make your CQT process more straightforward, is to connect the trait itself. I did not mention the character's name. Connect the trait itself to revenge. If you want to hit a home run here and wrap all this up, you would have your clincher sentence, which might look something like this. And we have our clincher. Come on, guys, get past therefore, please. As a result, this clearly demonstrates Montresor's deceitful nature. All right. So that's it. I will add one more thing about this. Well, actually, give me two more things. Number one, do not use this. This is not your writing, not your work, and that would constitute plagiarism. And as an extension of that, cheating, that's subverting the effort for you to do the work. You will get a 0 on your writing scores. All right. One last thing. I did not talk about this part of the quote at all. I mean, Lucchesi is nice to have in there, but let's keep our quotes as short as possible. And we only need one period at the very end of a sentence. And so I took that out. You guys, let's undo that. You guys could probably cross it out. And again, your quote is shorter in nature. That is preferred. All right, so don't copy. Here's your video. Feel free, right-clicking. Feel free to go back, rewatch or rewind, and review this as needed to help you with your Steele handout. Thanks, guys, for paying attention. I'll see you in class. I'll catch you on the next Viking school day. Have a great one. Make it a great day or not. The choice is yours.